Something that's crossed my mind on the subject of women is, what is a man supposed to be? What is a man supposed to be in relation to a woman? And to me, I think a man always should be superior to a woman, should be in a superior position to a woman. And I think what's destroyed this dynamic in American society is genocracy. We live in a genocracy. We live in a matriarchy that was imposed upon men since the sexual revolution took place in the 1960s. And this is completely artificial. It's against the laws of nature. We should not be living in a society that is from the top down controlled by females. And everything wrong about our society, every type of horror, mental health issue you can think of where these people just go and waste a bunch of people. All of these just the antisocial behavior and atmosphere that we have in today's society. Any psychological issue that we have with our society today can be traced back to the sexual revolution and women's empowerment. We have deluded ourselves to believe that women are superior to men or can be superior to men. And this is just not true. Women are not supposed to be our competitors financially. They're supposed to be subordinate and fall in line to a man. And nobody will ever convince me otherwise. I fail to see why we should go against our own nature as men to be subordinate to women who do not know their own satisfactions. They do not know what they want. They do not know what their ultimate goal is to accomplish in life and what they want to do. That should be in line with what a man needs to do for his family and his interests. We know our interest as men is to get with a woman um, who at least perceivably cares about us and be able to lead a functioning family unit. Now, there are instances of mammals or creatures in Mother Nature that are matriarchal, which means that they are being led by a female. One example of this is the elephant. I believe all elephants are matriarchal. That is an example of an animal, of a mammal as well, that is matriarchal. Elephants are led by the dominant female. Human beings are not matriarchal. Human beings are not meant to be matriarchal. We're not meant to be led by women. We're not meant to be led in a female dominated society where women can point towards a direction and tell men where to go, tell them what to do, have equal pay to us. This is not supposed to happen. And not only, since women from birth are told that they could get what they want by just pouting or just by acting childish and demanding to get what they want from a man in a man's society, they're not only pampered and spoiled and allowed this luxury by being taught by their own mothers, but it's also now enforced completely by society. Women are not meant to be in any position superior towards that of a man. It just goes against our own laws of nature. And basically, what it does is it gives women this like unprecedented level of power that they have in our society that they've never had prior in any society ever. And all of the power that we've given women today is how much men have allowed them to have in our society. We've given women that power that they have now. That's the only reason why they have it. So, you know, in a way, I almost kind of feel like, you know, in a way, the powers that women have in our society now, it was given to them by men. And to a level, the way that women behave now, is arguably the fault of men. I would agree with that. We are responsible for giving women the type of powers that they now have in the world today. And in a man's world, in a man's world that is just, we had proper families that we raised and built up in this country as a society to be able to, not only look after ourselves but also bear the responsibility of taking after our families. Looking after our families, looking after our wives, our children. Men historically, we paid the price of danger to protect our families, to protect our children, but not only our children, but also our wives, because we knew that they genuinely loved us and cared about us in return for that. Nowadays, women only have genuine love for a very, very small minority of men, which I would probably say 30% or less of men who they see as desirable. For the rest of men in today's society, they have been completely emasculated. We have been completely emasculated as a society as to our position of what men are supposed to be in today's world. And we see that everywhere. A man has no chance to be able to shine as a man. From birth, we are taught to basically comply to our female relatives, and then we go to school and then we comply to our female teachers, we comply to any type of female instructor up to college. We're told to comply by our female professors, and to me there's just no chance that men can actually become of themselves as men, to be able to prove to themselves that they can indeed um put their own 2 feet on the ground and stand up for themselves in order to feel and bear the responsibilities of the real world in order to get a female accomplice. I mean, we are just completely emasculated and told to just comply in a female genocracy. The average man has no chance to shine for himself to become a man, to be able to embrace that, to be able to be proud of being a man, and have women to be subservient to every man, because that's how our nature is. Our nature is for women to fall in line behind us, but in the past 30 years in America, it hasn't been that. It hasn't been that in the past, you know, 30, 40 years in America, in the West. We are constantly, dictated by women from every level of our government, every level of our education. And this is just how it's not supposed to be. Men are not supposed to be walked on all their existence by women who believe that they're superior to them. And, really, I hate to say this, but it is true. Women are meant to fear men. They really are. Women were put on this earth to fear men, you know? And you could have maybe some sort of like I'm not a very religious person myself, but maybe you could have, like, if you're a religious person, some type of a religious element to this, whereas women fear men. And you could say that historically, at least, men were to fear God, basically, or fear some type of higher power above them too, so that men also fell in line and were responsible um, to hold themselves accountable, like we usually do. Now, men hold themselves accountable. Women never hold themselves accountable. This is another reason why women should not really be ruling over us past maybe elementary school as teachers. Women themselves have zero accountability. And this is just, I mean, this is horrible. And even as teachers, women are horrible people as teachers. On Instagram, on any social media website, you can just, on the news, you can see women everywhere having sex with their students. And it's just completely fucking disgusting. It's completely fucking disgusting, the way these women behave and the way that they are. I mean, this is just unfathomable. At any point in human history, never have you seen women act so completely vile and disgusting and just the worst that they could possibly be. When you have a gynocracy, when you have a matriarchy in place like we do today, the women scream about patriarchy. We don't have a fucking patriarchy anymore. We have a matriarchy now. When you have a matriarchy imposed in your Western country, be that U.S. or wherever you live around the world, in Europe or Australia, it brings out the worst in women. It brings out the absolute worst in women, and we're paying for this in our genocracy. This is not the way that things should be. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. Women are as shallow as ever. Only they choose who they want to be with. And then they fail. It's another thing if women choose what man they wanted to be with, but they don't pick successful men even. They don't even pick successful men to be with. They pick men who don't care about them, and then they get dumped, and then they have spite, for the completely their own actions. Any woman could just up and be with a man that genuinely cares about them, but because of feminism, because of the cultural, because of the sexual revolution, all of this stuff that occurred in the 1960s going forward, we are as a society are completely held hostage by women, and it's just completely fucking disgusting. I mean, like I said, women pick and choose, and they're completely picky about what men they want to be with. Hypergamy, that's another thing I'm going to talk about in the future. Hypergamy is just through the roof, and there's no genuine love anymore. There's very few situations where a woman will genuinely love a man in today's society, and usually they reserve that love for a very small portion of men. And that on the face of it is cruel. That's wrong in and of itself, and I disagree with that. But at least I will say women are allowed to have their standards in regards to that. But I mean, you just see men get into these married relationships with women, and these women go behind these men's backs, and there has to be, I mean, we've already seen dozens of cases of this, but there has to be maybe hundreds of cases of women, before they were cheating on whoever, or maybe another grown man. But like I said, now we have cases of women, especially teachers, having sex with their own students. I mean, this is just demonic. We live in a fucking disgusting, just demonic society where women can just basically do and get away with whatever they want, with whatever they want, and they're getting away with it. They're getting away with this because a woman getting sentenced for this, this is not like a man sentencing. They're only going to get maybe like 10 years probation for this, probably at most, and they're out here, having sex with their own students behind their husband's back. And if the institution of marriage was in place like how it was historically, and women feared men, this is what I'm getting back to, women should fear men, we would not be having this at all. All of the disgusting trends that you see with women just acting like whores in general, on birth control, I think birth control should be fucking illegal. Um, Women don't fear men anymore, and when they don't fear men, they our society breaks down and it decays to the whims of what women want and what women um should feel that they have, and they don't know what they want. So it's, I mean, it is just societal suicide to demand that we fall in line to women's demands. This is just unprecedented. It's just completely unprecedented. There is almost no decent women out there. And I would say almost and not all, because there are religious fraternities. There are like Mormons, there are Mormon women, there are Amish women. So those are women who don't fall in line to the just the general degeneracy that we've seen in our society for the past couple of decades. But I mean, it's unfathomable. Most women today are not marriage material. They're completely disgusting whores. And then when a man does get married today, he can't feel like he's the boss of his house. He can't feel like the man. He's held at mercy to a woman that doesn't really love him, that's been in and out of who knows how many relationships before him. And because, before, marriage was meant to be between two young lovers growing old together. It's not like that anymore. Nowadays, it's, some man who is undesirable waits to get his turn with a woman that is used up, and it's just disgusting. It's lunacy. We made the worst mistake ever by giving women the 19th Amendment, especially. We should have never had women in public spaces. I mean, they're just, our whole society is disgusting. And it's not men's fault. Men believe it's their fault. That's why they shame other men when other men are not successful with women in a relationship. Men shame other men. And it's not men who are successful with women shaming men who are not. It's men who are unsuccessful with women shaming other men who are not successful with women. And it's just completely fucking disgusting. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. I mean, I know we've all had our nasty encounters with women, or, we've been deceived by women, from them manipulating us into thinking that they actually like us when they don't. But I mean, our society is just disgusting all around because of this. I mean, let me guys know. This is just crazy.